Welcome back to another episode, my lords, ladies and gentlemen. I hope this finds you well and the days are treating you kindly. Bob, how's it going, sir?
Yeah, it's very good. It's nice to have had a week off, but
Yeah.
had a strange phenomenon this afternoon. Something very strange fell out of the sky. But it was wet, so I think it might have been rain, but I've forgotten what it looked like.
Yeah,
But
it's
it's back sun again now. So
it's been a while. It's been a hot minute. But the crops are great for it. Yes. I mean, I got sidetracked on the way, and then I don't know if you've seen the thumbnail that I made for it. It's how the choices run your life. But I keep reading it as how the choices ruin your life. So this, I don't know if I need to get my glasses fixed. By the by, anyway, to tonight, really, the premise is kind of connected to things that we've mentioned before with the nudge theory and choice architecture. This idea that every option you are offered was built by someone in an order with a default before you felt like you were choosing anything, right? So we're going to try and get into choice architecture, defaults, framing, even AI personalization has turned this into an individual weapon rather than a blunt societal one. But the important thing for how we handle it here is where that line sits between legitimate nudging and something more manipulative, shall we say. So this idea, whether it comes from the menu, the Amazon layout, even the human resources file that you're reading, none of it's neutral. It all has a kind of ticket attached to it. Investigators will encounter it in consent forms and an interview room setup. Corporate professionals, they will build it into contracts and onboarding flows and policy documents, most of the time without naming what they're doing. So the question to kind of start us off, Bob, is how can we make ourselves more aware of this going on so we can try and make as free of a choice within the things that we're working with and on as is possible. We'll not get too far down the Robert Zapolsky line and the nature of free will just yet. But let's stay here for a minute. What are your thoughts on that?
yeah, you're right about free will. It's debatable whether that actually, and we're being nudged all the time. And I think the concept of choice architecture, Fowler and Sunstein, Sunstein were the
Sunstein, yeah.
people who came up with that title. And it's more or less just become a sort of a buzzword for marketing, behavioral economics, that sort of thing. But what I really think it is it's the architecture of influence.
Mm,
And in that regard, it's everywhere, isn't it? It's
yeah.
basically it's the thing that no one really mentions, especially when people are doing these online videos and reviewing other people and making decisions about them. What
Mm,
they very rarely mention is the impact of the environment.
mm,
And we don't choose in isolation. And so if you can um, if you can manipulate for good or for bad, because it's all the same thing, it's just what you choose to use it for,
mm.
then you can provide the illusion of choice, even if it isn't there. And that goes from everything, doesn't it? From magicians
Oh, yeah.
who are saying to you, you can choose that, but subconsciously they're saying, but I don't want you to choose that. I want you to
Yeah.
choose this. And it's all to do with how they promote and how the words they use and everything when they're showing you one against the other,
Yeah.
all the way through to like you said Amazon and everything else. And it's sort of, it's architecture is a good word for it, because I
Mm,
think it is an environment where all of the other techniques that can be used to try and influence people can sit.
mm,
Um, and, so scarcity sits within it, social proof sits within it. Um, and that's just what I think of it. I think I look at it when I see it, and when I talk about it and think about it in the work I'm doing, using it. Obviously,
mm,
I'm on the white hat side rather than the
mm.
black hat side. I look at it as the environment that I'm going to use to um, facilitate the influence, whatever that may be, that I'm going to use.
Massively, massively. The nudge itself is it's a responsibility for the organization of the context that you make a decision in. You know, it is well, someone is always going to be occupying that role. You know, the question is whether they are doing it deliberately. Hi, Dave. David's joining us from Canada. He's
Right.
on YouTube. He's on YouTube at the minute, watching in. He made his choice to do that. There will have been a
Yeah.
context or a situation around that that led to that decision to join in.
Mm.
The more awareness that you have of those um, motivation points, let's call them, the more opportunity you have as an individual to interact with them and try and influence some kind of control over it. So, in terms of why we keep harping on about this, if you've never named who built the architecture around a decision, then you've been assuming nobody did, and somebody always did. That's
Mm.
how decisions get made when you think about it. Someone has to make the decision. Oh, you go,
Yeah.
okay, or the decision gets made for you. Great. Then something else or someone else rather is making that decision for you.
Mm.
And the responsibility that we have is pursuant to our roles in that particular situation. So if it is that you are leading a team of some description, whatever the particular business, investigation, social group, whatever, if it is that you're leading it in some form, then you hold the driving seat in that moment towards the decisions that get made. Like if you're the de facto leader of the group, the second you do the classic English, kind of putting your hands on your knees and go, right, everyone else kind of thinks, okay, it's time to go, or time to go on to the next bar, or whatever it is in that situation. These things iterate and ebb out in the same way that a lot of youngsters want to wear the football shirt of their favorite player, or people want to run around with a Captain America shield or whatever it is. This kind of influence over the decisions that we make to do certain things in the moment. If you've ever worked out or done any exercise, but like a high intensity, whatever it is, doesn't have to be like circuits in the gym. You can go for a hike, whatever. That's pretty intense. If you're going by yourself, you want the right kind of music or sounds or books or a podcast or some kind of an accompaniment to motivate you through it. These are the elements that nudge yourself and create a responsibility towards how you make decisions in that particular moment. If you've ever tried to, I don't know, do press ups to a lullaby to try and
Mm.
pick the most polar opposite things that I can,
Yeah.
it's quite a challenge.
Yeah. Yeah. I when I'm thinking of anything, it's just the way my mind works, which is very strange, is I relate it to experience. And
Yeah.
so I'll keep it short, but when I first got married back in the 80s, a big company then was called MFI. And I do believe that it was memorable because it's very similar to MI5,
Eh,
but it was nothing like MI5. It was a flat pack furniture company. And we moved into our first house, and we had no money basically, very little money. And we moved into this house, and the kitchen was falling apart. And so we decided we had to buy one. And so MFI, what they were very good at was the advertising. This is before social media, so it was
mm,
on newspaper adverts, it was on the TV and everything. And anyone who remembers it, it didn't dawn on me at the time, but they had a perpetual sale all the time. This is before they changed legislation, I think, to outlaw that. And I can remember on a Saturday morning looking at it and it said ends today. And so we rushed down to buy it because, again, choice architecture is the vehicle, but that's
yeah,
scarcity.
yeah.
It's ending today. So
Hmm.
we rushed down there and got it home, only to open the newspaper up the next day and it started another sale.
Ah,
and and it was even cheaper. And so that is what
mhm,
I think of when I think of choice architecture. You think you've got your own, you're making your own decision, but
uh,
people are through social proof, because everyone shopped at MFI. They used to make a great deal about this is before Trustpilot and everything. It would be on their website, all the happy customers and how many units they'd shipped and all that. And so it must be
yeah,
good because everyone's doing it.
absolutely.
And so that is nudging you towards a choice. And it's
Yeah,
no different to the fraudster or anything else who deceives you, or the man with the cups where you think you've got to find where the ball is. It's all a similar thing, isn't it?
100% it is. 100% it is. And I just want to let you know as well. My dad used to call it MI5. Like I sincerely, when there was a branch of it, maybe 10 minutes from my childhood home. I'm just popping up to MI5. You go, all right, Dad. See you in a
Mm.
minute.
I think it was done on purpose. I think it's a very
Yeah,
clever bit of marketing,
I think
because
it's
there are
spot on.
other examples of that, aren't there, of companies who've used something
Yeah,
that sounds a lot like something, or puts that picture in your mind.
yeah, yeah. 100%, 100%. Um, but yeah, coming back to the cups and balls example, when when you the default to the decision, whatever it is never neutral. You know, whatever option requires no action from you is the option doing the most work on you. One of the questions I used to put to my guys in class would be, um, how many options are there in a 50-50? And at the start you get there, well, there's two. You can either go this or that. And you're like, okay, that's only if you agree to the context of the situation. You know, what about the choice to ask why it's being presented as a 50-50? The choice not to choose in that particular situation, you know? Is it a 50-50 choice around one object or two items? That type of combination. So there's plenty of other things as well. And the three cups, the three cups and balls, it kind of became, or rather, it may have even become a maths problem first before it became a magic thing. You're chicken and the egg. I don't know which one came first, but it was this idea that if you have one ball in one of the cup and you choose the ball, you win a prize. That type of affair. And so one, two, and three. Now, if I'm offering you the choice, I know where it is, and let's say the ball is in cup number three, and you pick number one, and I choose to show you where it is. Intelligence doesn't guarantee influence. If you can't communicate and do so clearly, your ideas die in translation. Productive communications teaches you how to understand behavior, how to navigate tension, and how to create real clarity in conversation. No manipulation, no scripts, just behavioral insight applied correctly. So if you want fewer misunderstandings and more control in conversation,
go to omniscient-insights.com/procoms, or right here.
The odds are that you are statistically more likely to select the right cup if it is that you change your mind along the way. You know, if you change your mind. But the simple fact that I know where it is and choosing to show one of the cups empties, that's an influence point towards your decision in that particular moment. And this is the same thing on organ donation forms and the like. Better to opt out than to
Yeah.
opt in to a particular
Yeah.
situation. And these are if you're listening to somebody give you an account of whatever scene that they've witnessed in that moment, and you're faced with this, you believe me, don't you idea. It's never going to come up that explicit, but it's that idea that goes underneath the surface. You believe me, don't you? There is a choice there that the situation is going to try and nudge you into one way or the other. The second it's entertained rather than held as many options as possible, you're doing a disservice to the information that's there. It's a challenge to walk down. So Dave says the guy with the cups is clearly more honest.
Yeah, maybe.
That's it. That's it. So if you're the one drafting the form, if you're deciding the outcome before anyone reads a word of it, that's not a neutral design. That's a decision, but it's in paperwork form.
Yeah. 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 And this has been around for years, and my mind goes back to the market, and you've got the Del Boy, the Only Fools and Horses, who's selling something, and so it's first impressions is the first thing, and so they would quite often have someone in the crowd who would buy straight away. And that also becomes the anchor becomes, well, you can have it for that, but I'm going to give it to you for this. And so it's all the same, isn't it? It's like the way you present information, the first impressions, anchoring them to a piece of information, and then either going up or away, or however you manipulate it. But that is your piece of information that you're going to use as the bait towards wherever you're going to go. And it is very, very prevalent everywhere. You see it in almost any walk of life, and it is a fact of life, I think. And if we don't believe that, then you've only got the next time you go to a supermarket or go anywhere and have a look at the choices that they offer you and how they present it, is a bait for you to go with the way they want you to go. So what they've got on offer, even in a coffee shop, what they've got on offer will be very prominent,
Absolutely.
because they want you to anchor yourself to that. But I think, going back to what I said, I think the first impression is the thing that people forget about. It's because that impression will cause something in your brain. Your hippocampus will try and match that image against something positive or negative. And if it's a negative, then you're off to a bad start anyway. And framing as well, the way you frame it, 90% survival rate, which obviously means there's a 10% mortality rate. But
Exactly.
if you present it the other way around, it's going to be everywhere, even though it's only 10%. If you present that first, that's your anchor. And you've already created that image in people's minds, because that's what all this is about, isn't it? All nudging is
That's it.
about understanding that people think in pictures, they don't think in words.
That's it.
And if you can create the right pictures in people's brain, then you're halfway there, aren't you? And then it just takes the skill. But from my perspective, and I don't know how you feel about this, I feel that when we talk about these things, there is a stigma attached to them in a certain regard, because
Yes,
people
sir.
are being bombarded And the anchor that they hear all the time is that these are things used to manipulate people.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And that's not the case, is it? You
No.
can use all of these things for the right reasons to help
Yeah.
people align with you, so that you can have the good relationship or whatever you want from it. I don't know. What do you think about that?
I couldn't agree more. I couldn't agree more. The first thing that popped up is a professor in Texas. His name's Sam Gosling. He wrote a lovely book called Snoop: What Your Stuff Says About You, and he speaks about this idea of behavioural residue. You know, as in, if you were to see a deck of cards on a table, you as the observer might connect that to a certain idea of behavior. Rightly or wrongly, it would present information for you to explore with. That type of thing. You see dumbbells on the floor, behavioral residue. You find out that they haven't done the dishes in a while, behavioral, that type of thing. And it connects to this idea that I've been working on about objects have a purpose and use, right? Purpose and use. I can use a pen to write notes, but I can use it to attack people if I really were so inclined. You know, I can use my Mac to do all of this kind of thing, but if I really wanted to, I could use it as a paperweight. So if you look at that idea between purpose and use, it tells you more about the individual in those particular moments for how they're choosing to do something. If you find out the information about the architect of the decision that's been trying to be placed in front of you, and understand, okay, what's the purpose of it, but how are they choosing to use it as well in those particular situations? It's a great reveal. It's a great reveal. Choice architecture. It 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 doesn't necessarily target your reasoning, your ability to think. It more targets the part of you that isn't reasoning at all.
Yeah.
You know, it's that Kahneman system one and system two thing. System one, defaults, familiar patterns, low effort choices. System two, slower, effortful, consulted far less than people assume. So for anyone reading a witness statement or negotiating under some kind of time pressure, they're watching system one make decisions in real time. Other people kind of try and add in themselves as well. So the architecture itself isn't trying to convince you. It's trying to make sure that you don't have to decide. You know, it's that, like you said, right the way back at the start, the illusion of choice. Persuasion needs your attention. My favorite thing, and obviously being of that side of things, my favorite, I've watched a lot. So my favorite thing to watch magicians do, particularly close-up magicians, or anyone that really does any sleight of hand, is the choices that they offer to create this idea that they never touched anything.
Yeah.
You know, that's what I like. You know, they hand the cards out and they do the whole pick a card thing. They take you back and then they put them down and then they do this, and then they start saying, "So obviously, I'm not touching them. I've never touched them. Yes, I agree with this. You're not touching." At that moment, so you don't have to decide the specificities because they're feeding you the idea of what just happened
Yeah.
in that moment, and you either accept it or you don't. And those kinds of ways of using that to create a fun moment of mystery. There's so many ways I've seen it done, and I think that's particularly insightful when it comes to this observation practice around humans. Persuasion needs your attention. Architecture doesn't.
Yeah.
It's already a structure by that stage.
Yeah. Yeah. And the thing that I always come back to in this type of thing is East, which was created by the Behavioural Insights team, the government agency. And East, I think, encapsulates what you have to do, because simplicity influences behaviour.
Mm.
So east means make it easy, accessible, um, social, and time relevant. And if you
Mm.
fit all those together, and that's how they did all the sloganing and everything during the pandemic, and a lot of their other things, the choice architecture they used whenever advising. And one of the specific things they did is they were responsible for the opt-in. Sorry, the
Right.
opt-out rather than
The opt-out.
opt-in, which is
Mm.
another way of doing it. So you think you've got choice,
Mm.
but the and it's happened to me. And I went on my accounts and realised that I'm still signed up for Now TV. I got it about 6 months ago
Right.
to watch something,
Yeah.
and because you have to tell them you don't want it anymore, rather than them telling you
Mm.
it's coming up for renewal, I've just kept it going and spent more or less £100 for nothing.
Oh, I mean, I've done it myself as well. The same thing. Not with Now TV. I have this. Well, I cancelled it too late. The subscription to masterclass.com, and I only wanted it for a couple of masterclasses, and to see them and practice and think about it, work with the material. Great, very happy. But I didn't need it after that. There was nothing on there that interested me. I just it wasn't there. It didn't remind me. Now the thing that I want to bring up is when we as individuals were inside a choice moment that we never notice. It should be time to find it. So Sunstein's later work on sludge, as he called it, identifies the inversion of a nudge. So it is friction that is deliberately added to make an option harder to take. It's in cancellation flows and refund processes and the like. So for us
Yeah.
as individuals, we can practice by taking a form, a contract, or some kind of process that we use weekly, monthly, whatever it is, and we can list every default setting for each one and ask who benefits if nobody changes it. And if you look at it through investigative or consent contexts, an unexamined default can really favor the institution over the individual every single time it's used, and nobody involved has to feel like they did anything wrong. It's an audit skill. In
Yeah.
The one that I like seeing when I'm canceling something is, you get the reasons that you want to leave. Fine, good business practice, feedback, learn from the people that are leaving. But then they'll create some kind of offer, some kind of discount. Well, if you'd have made that more aware ahead of time, maybe I wouldn't have even considered leaving. But then no, I still want to cancel is always in such tiny writing, and like in a font that's barely readable against the backdrop. So, Bob, we're at that time. Your final thoughts, if you would.
Right, I've been thinking about it before we did this, and it's crystallized it while we're doing that. And that's the thought that these people who do listen to this, something to think about. Behavior is often designed before it's observed.
Oof. I think that one needs a minute or so to land. Behavior is often designed before it's
And as I
observed.
think what I'm saying about that, Ben, is that one of the biggest mistakes we make as humans is if we're analysing behaviour, we must examine the environment in which it happened. Because in lots of instances, that environment was designed before we've observed
Yeah,
it with
yeah,
with an intention in place.
yeah, 100%.
So that our illusion of choice is just that, an illusion.
100%. 100%. Why do we all want to whisper in doctors' offices? Is it respect? Is it personal information? Or is it just the fact that we've all been doing it in doctors' offices, waiting rooms, sorry, for so long that it's just kind of become the information at that particular stage. That's wonderful. That's wonderful. I'm not going to add to that because I'm a big fan of that method. It's situational frameworks within Polar. Now, guys, if you're not subscribed to the podcast already, now is the perfect time to do it, and you have complete freedom to decide whether you do or not. It's just whether you want to make two strangers on the internet happy or not. That's really the only decision that, that lies before you. But yeah, if you get anything out of these guys, as per usual, we'd love to hear from you. Obviously, it's quite clear that I think we're very passionate and we talk about these kinds of things ad nauseum, if we would be allowed to do so. So yeah, we'll see you very soon for another episode. Take care, guys. See you later.